Is Florida turning blue? The elections that were held this week on Tuesday give some good news that Florida may be swinging back in a blue direction. Of course, by now you know about the election in the mayor's race in Miami, where the Democratic candidate Eileen Higgins defeated the Republican candidate Emilio Gonzalez, who was very proud of his Donald Trump endorsement. But you should also focus on Florida House seat 90, which was a Harris plus 10 district where the Democrats significantly overperformed. Rob Long beating Maria Zack 72% to about 26%, a massive overperformance there. And then when you look at the swings, particularly in the Latino community, you see major shifts from what Kamala Harris was able to get in 2024 to where the Latino community is right now. And look, this comes at a time where you have Ron DeSantis talking about doing a gerrymander there and getting ready to try to rig the election there. The issue that they're going to be running into, as Adam Carlson points out, is that this may result in a dummy mander where you base it on certain preconceived notions about the Latino voting behavior with the Cuban population, Venezuelan population, Haitian population, Colombian population, and others, based on how they were voting in 2024, but where the MAGA Republican agenda has been to hunt down the family members and to hunt down Latinos there and to seek, search, and destroy the Cuban community, the Venezuelan community, to build out Alligator Alcatraz, to throw people into concentration camps. I mean, to see what's going on, some of those assumptions may be changing. And so I just want to remind everybody as well, like what the MAGA Republican Congress members were selling to the communities, to the Latino communities, to the Cubans and the Venezuelans and others, right after the November 2024 election. This was embodied specifically in MAGA Republican Congresswoman Maria Salazar. She was from a Cuban family that left and were refugees here in the United States and got citizenship. And so she's been saying, here's how we're protecting the Cuban community and the Venezuelan community. Here's what she promised to her constituents in South Florida. Let's play it.
Not all 200,000 undocumented in your community. Is that what you're saying?
I am sure that that the Trump administration is not going to be targeting those people who have been here for more than 5 years, that have American kids, that don't have criminal records, that have been working in the economy and paying taxes. I am sure that they're going to hone in on the criminals who arrived less than 4 years ago. Because I wrote the Dignity Act, and I am the first one who understands that you have to give some type of dignity to those who have been here for more than 5 years. People who have roots in the country, not people who are coming to commit crimes.
If I can just clarify from you, have you received those kinds of details from anyone in a potential Trump administration? Because so far what we've heard is a proposal for mass deportations. You have about 30 seconds left. Have you gotten those assurances?
Mass deportation to those who are committing crimes who have been here for less than 5 years. You understand that you have millions of undocumented who are contributing with the economy and are helping our country.
So what did she say 2 weeks ago? Let's play the clip.
Thank you for the opportunity. And talking about Charlotte, 200 people in 48 hours were arrested. 70% of them did not have a criminal record, according to DHS. That's a mistake. And that is why I just wrote this book called The Dignity, Not Citizenship. This is the name of the legislation that I just introduced. And basically what it says is the ICE should be concentrating on the bad hombres. Exactly what President Trump said, that he wanted to do a mass deportation, the most important in the history of the country. And we agree. Kick out the ones who are bad hombres, the ones who have criminal records, the murderers and the rapists. But do not touch the lady who has been here for 10, 20 years contributing to the economy. Those who have been picking up the jalapeno peppers or the dairies or the greenhouses or the slaughterhouses, those people who are illegal and they broke the law, it's true, but we should give them the dignity status. No citizenship, no amnesty, just let them stay and help with the economy. And that is why those people are protesting. They're not defending the Trendaragua. They're defending those who have been here contributing and do not have a criminal.
Let's bring in Nikki Fried. chair of the Florida Democratic Party. You know, that would be parody and perhaps an SNL skit if the impact it was having wasn't so harmful in Florida. I want to get into that, but first let's talk about the results from this past week. This election in Miami, the overperformance in the House districts. What are you seeing, and is there a broader trend taking place here?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And, I too have a book to sell you. But no, the election results on Tuesday were really a showcase of what is happening here in Florida. We've had 30 years of one party control of the state. DeSantis has been a disaster for our economy. We're so unaffordable. And so we had an opportunity on Tuesday to showcase a fantastic candidate who really understands the city of Miami. And yeah, we're hearing that. We're hearing the unaffordability crisis. We're hearing from farmers. We're hearing from immigrants that are scared. Miami-Dade has 56% Hispanic community, and everybody's walking around with their passports and their naturalization paperwork or their birth certificates. Things are really, really messed up down here. And of course, we have 4.7 million Floridians who potentially are going to lose their health care next year, and a vast majority of them are in Salazar's district. So we're seeing really the pendulum, which is what we've called our year-round organizing model here in Florida. We are just getting started. There are so much great opportunities here because it has been an absolute disaster in our state for 30 years. We're organizing on the ground and we're getting to work. And you saw that with a 19-point win. And so much so that it is a big win that now Trump and DeSantis are attacking each other of whose fault it was, including the Republican Party chair. And so that we had a good night when they're starting to throw the arrows at one another, trying to figure out who to blame in this mess. But we know that we're going to continue on this track and we're going to continue to show up and do the good work for the people of our state.
So as the chair of the Democratic Party in Florida, you know this state well, you know the congressional districts, you know the state legislative districts. And so, this election, there were three big races that people were focusing on this past Tuesday. There was the Miami mayoral race, and there was the House districts. There was one that was a very Trump district where the Democrats still overperformed significantly, but the Republicans still won that district. And then you had a district that was Democratic, but there was a massive overperformance, there as well. So can you extrapolate this, though, to other areas in Florida other than those, and what does that look like now with the kind of gerrymandering plan that DeSantis and Trump have there?
Yeah, we actually had a lot of elections on Tuesday. You had a runoff in Miami in Miami Beach, which it's definitely a blue seat, but you saw a win of 40 points in Miami Beach. And that was a huge overperformance from then what we saw in November 24. And then again, you went up to Miami and you saw a 19-point win, an 18-point shift. And again, the city of Miami is very different than Miami Beach. And then you go up to Palm Beach County and Rob Long winning that seat. Harris, as you noted, had won by 10 and he won by 28 in Palm Beach County. And then you go further up the state and in one of those Senate seats that we did not win, but we moved the needle 22 points in overperformance. And that's red, rural areas. And in the current county that our CFO is from, which is what his seat was before he was appointed by DeSantis, which is Hernando County, which is as red as they come, we moved the needle 31 points. And so you saw everything from a pretty liberal part of our state, which is Miami Beach, to a very diverse state area of the city of Miami, to Palm Beach County, to red rural parts of our state. So you saw across the board, no matter the demographics, just this overperformance. People are pissed. People are pissed about being lied to. They're pissed about the fact that they can't afford their food. They can't afford their property insurance here. They can't buy a house. They can't afford their rent. They can't afford their electric bills. At the same time, Trump is calling it out a hoax. And I just think that people are tired. They're tired of the chaos. They're tired of the corruption. They're tired of being lied to. And I think they're showing up at the polls. And it's not just Democrats. It's Democrats, Republicans, independents. We're building a pretty strong coalition of, we want our country back. This is nonsense. nonsense. So I do think that as long as Democrats, not just here in Florida, but across the country, we're seeing overperformance. Georgia won, flipped a seat, as well did Iowa. So we're seeing that across the entire country, in red parts of our country, purple parts, overperformance even in our blue parts. So I think I heard that Susie Wiles wants to put Trump onto the campaign trail next year. Bring it. We are excited for that, because every time he opens his mouth these days, it gets more Democratic wins, because this is just nonsense.
You mentioned that Georgia House district. The same guy, the Democrat who ran in November of 2024, lost by like 40. And then this year he won by 2, against another MAGA Republican candidate. When people hear I use the word dummy mander, that's like a gerrymander gone wrong, which, by the way, that Georgia House district was a dummy mander example. So, but pull up this Adam Carlson graphic, though, if you can, Remy, because I want to show people what this looks like right here. So if you look at the 2024 presidential election, you'll see where Harris performed well, and you'll see where Donald Trump performed well. And basically, when the MAGAs in Florida are looking to gerrymander, they're looking into the congressional districts that look blue over here, and they want to basically figure out ways to make them red. But to make those blue congressional seats red, you have to dilute some of the red. So if there's a Trump plus 22, you may try to make that a Trump plus 18 and then get rid of a Harris plus 35 and try to make up the difference to eliminate that seat. The issue, and what Nikki's telling us right now, though, is that where you're seeing over performances in the range of 15 to 22, anything that's a plus 18, plus 15 starts looking less and less safe for a MAGA Republican running in that district. So if you pull up that list, someone from Florida second, Neil Dunn, plus 18, that's a Congress member who's a little bit worried. Even Kate Kamik may be a little bit worried, but Aaron Bean is very vulnerable. Corey Mills is vulnerable. You go down this list and you just see the people who are, in that 15 to 20 range and certainly under, they're vulnerable. So what do you do now, from now until the election, in the midterms, to really get this done? How do we do this so it's not one of these things where we look at Florida and go, there's hope, and then come an election night, we're like, oh, no, why do we do this? Here we go again. How do we really do it this time?
Yeah, so earlier part of this year, we launched our Pendulum Project, which is our year-round statewide organizing model, where we're going to every part of our state, 67 counties. I've been on a front porch swing tour in red and rural parts of our state. We're showing up, we're building coalitions, and we're doing it year-round, because that's how this works. TV doesn't work anymore. That's not going to move the needle. It's having the conversations, it's building the coalitions, it's coming up with real solutions. There's real problems here in Florida. They've gutted our affordable trust funds, so now people can't afford to purchase homes. They've gutted our public education system. They can't find hundreds of millions of dollars that was supposed to go to public education. The corruption out of Tallahassee, there could potentially be an indictment against our attorney general for stealing, now I'm hearing $16 million of Medicaid money that virtually went down to the Republican Party of Florida to take down abortion access and cannabis legalization. So there's just so much corruption. So we are every day focusing on the solutions to the everyday problems of the people, to put money back into their pockets so they can afford their rent, they can afford their homes to purchase, they can get their food. And so what we're doing is organizing on the ground. So for those who are listening, come be part of this. It is exciting. There's energy on the ground. People were frustrated, and now they're finding that there is a real pendulum that is moving, and people are tired of the chaos and nonsense. So one, go onto our website, floridadems.org, if you want to come and volunteer. And of course, if you got some financial ability, $26 helps us to make sure that we continue to hire staff to do this organizing, and then continue talking truth to power and showing the people of our state that we don't have to accept what they've been giving us for 30 years. We don't have to accept, the corruption of Rick Scott or the overreach of Ron DeSantis, or even the nonsense that's coming from Byron Donalds and Lieutenant Governor here. I mean, we've got such a cast of characters. You were talking about how Corey Mills is vulnerable. Yeah, he's vulnerable even regardless of redistricting. And so we've got a cast of characters here that just have no business being in government and in politics. And so we certainly need everybody's help, but we feel pretty strong. Look, it's going to take some time. It may not happen overnight, but certainly we're seeing progress here in our state. We are just getting started, and we know that this can be done by creating a coalition of the people on the ground. We've been doing that all year, over performance in congressional districts 1 and 6, beginning part of this year, where we saw just in November, which was a Matt Gaetz won that seat in CD1 by, I think, 36 points. We moved the needle there by 22 points, flipping Escambia County for the first time since the 1980s. So there's something happening on the ground here. We're showing up, and I have a lot of hope in what the future of our state looks like when you start building a coalition of the people and get these corrupt politicians out of our government.
The Republican leaders in the state of Florida look like the bad guys on like Batman and Spider-Man. You've got like the Joker, the Penguin. You've got, just the whole crew. I mean, they're like right out of the cast of supervillains. Remind people of the website if they want to learn more one more time.
It's at floridadems.org. And for those who know, I'm wearing our new logo, which is the panther, because I have a big thing about the donkey. Donkey was an Andrew Jackson thing, was called a jackass while he was running for president. And so thought that was no longer appropriate for the Florida Democratic brand. And so we have now the Florida Panther. So we're doing things differently here, and we're creating excitement.
Well, my travel soccer team growing up, we were the Plainview Panthers. So I approve. Plainview, Long Island Panthers. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks, Nikki.
Thanks.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.